Left of the steering column, this is a fuse box cover, so it's not anything that you would open. And then this is the dimmer switch for the interior gauges, the ability to open up the power lift gate. Traction control default is on. You can turn it off here. And then you can reset the 12-volt battery. For whatever reason you have to change it, you can go through the process of resetting it here. There's also a tilt and telescoping steering column that you lock in place here. I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I'm 6 feet tall, to give you an idea of the potential legroom here. And I feel like it for me, I mean, it's fine to drive like this, but it feels like sometimes I want to put a little bit further back or lower the seat just a tad. But that's just, you know, it's still fine. There's plenty of room, but I just have that feeling that I want to lower the seat a little bit or maybe move it back slightly. So you can see there's lots of legroom here and knee room and everything. Now, I understand they don't want to put the seat too far back because the whole purpose of this vehicle is have, you know, potentially have passengers in the back. So, and there is lots of legroom back there. Okay, so the steering wheel, leather wrapped, fairly, it's kind of thin. It could be a little bit thicker. This plastic right here kind of gets in the way sometimes. And, but yeah, overall pretty good. Not a huge deal. It does have the paddle shifters here on the back in case you need to change through the gear ratios. Here on the right side is the cruise control. See, one button to set it, turn it on and set it all together. You can change the speed, you can resume and cancel here, or this is like a pause basically. And then you can set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, and then there is the lane keep assist system, which you can activate here. This pages button and this OK and this up and down corresponds with the screen. We'll get to that in a second. Here on the left side is the radio, volume for the radio, change to the tracks, the voice recognition. Mode will be the audio source, and then the phone button, just one button to answer and hang up. And then this is a button that you can set up in the settings to do whatever you want basically. Windshield wiper controls are here and does have an automatic function, rain sensing headlights or windshield wipers. So front and rear wipers are controlled here. Turn signal, of course, is on this side, but it also has a headlight switch. So it has off, auto, parking, and headlights here. And it shows you on the screen. I like the way it does that because this is not illuminated. So when you turn it at nighttime, you can see what you're doing. The gauges are basically a screen. So it has a pretty cool effect to it, and you know, very well done as far as the screen for the most part. It has the traditional dials, and then you have the range here on the left side is speedometer, fuel gauge, battery level, and then this is for the EV stuff. This is for the hybrid, the status of how much you're using versus how much you're generating as you drive. And then you can also see, you know, your fuel economy and stuff down here. Digital speedometer is there in the center, but you remember these buttons here have the pages button and this OK and this up and down. We're going to use that because the pages button goes through these top pages here. So the first one is here, and on each one sometimes you can go up and down to get different information. So your lane keep assist system, you can have the driver attention warning system here. The next one will be the information about the vehicle. So like say digital speedometer, but you can also go up and down and get the energy flow, trip, since refueling trip, drive info, another trip, and then it goes back to digital speedometer. But I like the energy flow because it'll show you, I mean, I like the digital speedometer really is my default, but I like to look at the energy flow sometimes because it actually shows where the power is coming from the battery or the engine, or it's coming from the wheels going to the battery. In other words, it's regenerating electricity and recharging the battery. So it's constantly changing as you drive. It's pretty neat to watch. But like I said, the speedometer will be my favorite. Now there's different theme selections that you can have, and you can tie these to the drive mode. So I don't really like to do that because, well, I'll just show you. First of all, there's the cube, which is a little bit different. You know, it has like these little cubes. I don't really care for that, but it does have that feature. It's kind of neat. So you have Classic A, Classic B, and Classic C. And Classic A is a little, at nighttime, is a little bit bright. It's just a lot of brightness there on the dials. So Classic B is kind of like a sport mode, and Classic C is more like an eco mode. So I like this view because it's not quite as bright at nighttime and just kind of has a neat look without being overly sporty or whatever. You know, just driving around with the sport screen seems to not match the rest of the vehicle, you know, all the time. And like I said, this one's fine during the day, but it's a little bit bright at night. And the cube is just a little bit weird for me. I don't really care for it. But you can link these to the drive modes if you want. In any of these themes, you can change this right side. If you don't want to have that EV meter right there, you can change that to a tachometer here on the right if you'd like. So this one has the fairly traditional Hyundai screen here. And you see it has these different home screens. So all these different, similar to a cell phone. Now it has like a little overlay of a map right there. It shows the date, the time, and all that stuff, really good. And just a nice calm screen here. You can go over to the different options immediately. You can also set up different users by hitting that little icon there. The home button takes you there. This little menu right here gives you the ability to turn off the display, edit home icons, and then you can get the QR code for our user manual if you'd like. So we can check out the hybrid system, see what it's doing. We can view the map and get our bearings. We can zoom in and out by pinching. We can also use the buttons on here, and then the menu pops up and you can save locations, look for nearby info, that kind of stuff. Now that's separate. The map is separate from the navigation menu, which shows you where you can search for different things, and depending on your needs, you can search for different things and set destinations. You can even have your home, work, and different favorites as well. Your phone, you can set up your phone. Phone projection would be Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can also do a voice memo. You just hit that button and record your voice, and it's pretty cool. Climate control, you can have that visualized here on the screen. There's also some redundant buttons here at the bottom. Valet mode, Hyundai Pay, not really sure what the purpose of that is. Quiet mode, this would be like the kids in the back are sleeping and you want the sound here in the front. HD radio information, you go into setup there, all your settings. Radio, it has a satellite radio. And let's get back here. Media, so this would be like USB, AM, FM, radio, Bluetooth, USB, sounds of nature, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. It also has AM as well. Different notifications will show up there. User manual, unfortunately, it's just a QR code. So it's not like a onboard user manual, but it does give you the ability to get one. And then down here you have the buttons, so you can quickly go to some of that stuff. You have the volume. There's no volume knob here, but you have the little touch buttons there. You can hit the map, navigation. There's your little favorite that you can set up. Seek through the tracks, radio, media setup. All those are in addition to the ones on the screen. Temperature for the driver, temperature for the passenger. You can set it up on automatic, high, medium, and low automatic, which is kind of cool. You can also diffuse the air to where it's not just coming from blowing in your face, it's blowing down at your feet as well, so it's not as strong. You have the same volume of air, but it's more distributed, more diffused. Fan speed, where you want the air to blow. Front and rear defrosters are here. You can also focus on the driver if you want. You can also sync the temperatures for the driver and passenger, recirculate the air or not. Then down here is a USB, it's two USB-A's, 12-volt power supply, and a wireless charger. I got my cell phone in the way. So you can see there's the little pad that you can put stuff, but the wireless charger is kind of tilted here. So you just basically you take your phone and just kind of plop it in here like that, and it usually does a pretty good job of recognizing it and charging. Even with the case on, I really haven't had an issue with it charging. Okay, so here's the controls for the heated and cooled seats for the driver and passenger. It's a 3-stage cooled and 3-stage heated. Cycle through. You have a downhill descent button for the all-wheel drive system, heated steering wheel as well, parking sensors, and then there's this button here for the camera. You press that and it pops up the camera system. It also pops it up when you're in reverse it as well. So it has a top-down view, and then it has, right now it's showing the rear view, and then you have a top-down rear, more linear view, and then the sides there in the back. Now if you're in drive, it'll show you the front view in addition to the top-down. So front, more top-down. This is good for car washes. and then directly in front of the vehicle, and then this is for the front wheels. So actually when I'm turning the wheels, you can see them turning there. Let's go back here. You can see them turning as I turn the steering wheel, like that. You can see the wheels there. So it's a high resolution view of these wheels, really handy. When you need to get really close to something, you can be certain that you're not going to hit your wheel, basically. So yeah, pretty cool, and that top-down view is kind of neat. It does have a center locking differential for the all-wheel drive system, so could come in handy if you're doing some off-roading and kind of, you know, shady, slippery situations. And then there's also drive mode here. So when you cycle through it, it has Eco, Sport, Smart, which is kind of like a balance, and then Snow mode. I like Smart. It seems to work fine. I mean, really, Smart mode, when you really need the power, it's there, and when you're just driving normally, it doesn't, you know, to feel weak or anything. So that's the one I keep it in. If you really want to focus on power to the maximum, then the Sport mode is there, but it's really not it's not really a big deal if you just leave it in Smart mode. Eco's a little bit too weak for me, and also it kind of cuts back on the climate control a little bit, so I'd prefer to have it in Smart mode. And Snow, of course, self-explanatory. Okay, so here's the shifter. So there you put it in park, reverse, parking sensors are active in here, and the screen pops up here as well. Neutral, drive, and then park. So it's push button system, fairly easy, straightforward. There's cup holders here. Electronic parking brake, you lift it up to engage it. It engages the rear wheels. Hold the brake over here and press it down to release it. And then you have an auto hold feature, which holds the brake for you when you come to a complete stop, like at a stop sign or stoplight, traffic, that kind of stuff. So this armrest is fairly soft, kind of rubbery soft here. And it has this button, press that and it lifts up, and it's spring loaded so it doesn't flop back down on you. And this is as far back as it goes though, kind of gets in the way a little bit. And then there is a storage compartment. It's got my business cards in the way. Get those out of the way. It has a felt line compartment at the bottom, and it's kind of dark abyss in there, basically. So I would take that felt lining out and put a white one in there. Make you can see a little bit better in there. The auto dim rearview mirror, home link garage door opener controls here. So you have your roadside assistance and your blue link buttons up here as well. And all the interior lights turn on, or you can turn on individual reading lights here and here. And turn them on with the door as well, if you'd like to have that or not. This is for the sunroof. We'll get to that in a second. The visor has a vinyl material. The actual headliner is a cloth, but they match in color. And I like the way they have the vinyl. It really does help out with cleaning it and stuff. It has a little clip right here and a mirror, and the light turns on manually. You have to turn it on like that. But it's a big mirror. It does slide out as well, and it seems to have pretty decent coverage, unlike some vehicles. And if you accidentally leave this light on, you lift this up and it'll hit the button and turn it off. It's kind of neat. Low tech solution, but it works. Okay, so it has this huge panoramic sunroof, and this cover feels like it's like a cloth material like this, but it covers 100% of the lights. There's no light getting in. So we can gently press it back like that, and it goes fast. All the way back. All right, that back portion is fixed. This portion moves, so let's go ahead and press this button. Vent it up. And let's move it back. See how far back it goes. Press it again. All right, that's as far back as it goes. Now I pressed it kind of hard, so it's not only going to close that, but it's also going to close this. All at the same time if you press the button forward kind of hard. So looking at the visibility, really I hadn't had any problems with driving it. It does have a fairly large pillar back there, and the headrest kind of getting away a little bit, but overall, it's like any other vehicle. You're going to have to get used to it. But with the technology this vehicle has, parking sensors, blind spot detection system, rear cross traffic alert, 360 camera system, I mean everything, all the technology makes it to where it's like no problem whatsoever as far as visibility, really.